Hello, Covington County. Welcome to our Thursday, May 31st edition of Good News Covington County with Brother John, Cousin Jared, Cousin Tom, and our guest, Daniel, the sleeper candidate. The first segment of our local news and information is brought to you courtesy of JR's Lawnmower. Joe Richburg and his team at JR's Lawnmower in Opp, Alabama will impress you just like they've impressed us with the quality of the people that they have, the service that they render, and the lines that they carry. Joe and his team carry everything you need from Generac, Honda, and Kawasaki engines and power products to Cushman and E-Z-GO golf carts. They've got golf carts all over the world. You'll also be able to see the best selection of Big Green Egg grills, cookers, and merchandise I've seen for miles. If you need mowing and grounds maintenance equipment from zero radius mowers like the Grasshopper and the Husqvarna, or even weed trimmers from Steel, chainsaws and blowers from Husqvarna, go see the folks at JR's. They've got what you need to make outdoor work a real pleasure. And they've got the parts and the people to fix about anything in the way of outdoor equipment or lawn equipment that you would think of. You know, the great thing about it is that they've not only got the equipment to fix their stuff, they've got the parts and equipment to fix the other fellow's stuff too. And they'll do you a good job. They'll even come pick it up and deliver your lawnmower or your cutter or whatever. Located at 1006 West Cummins Avenue in Opp, Alabama, JR's has what you need. Go by and see them or call them today at 334-493-9645. Well, politics was a hot topic in Andalusia, Alabama yesterday, as our hometown and the areas around it were host to many candidates running for state and federal office. Jared, Tom, and I were up early to greet Scott Dawson, one of the challengers facing the incumbent Kay Ivey in the state gubernatorial election. Scott came in town on his tour bus and spoke to Barrow's Fine Furniture Store and Distribution Center here in Andalusia on the Martin Luther King bypass. Tom Goodspeed, who is just as nice as his commercials make him out to be, and the team at Barrow's hosted us and Walt Merrill and a number of Andalusia and Covington County's citizens, while Scott Dawson gave us a short speech to a very receptive crowd. Our news team was then privileged to join Christopher Smith from the Andalusia Star News for an interview with Scott Dawson as his campaign bus drove from Andalusia to Opp, where Dawson held another enthusiastic rally. We'll have footage from these rallies and the bus interview rendered and broadcasting for you later in the day. And when you watch the bus interview, I want you to pay particular attention to the vibration of the camera. That's not our cameraman. We were in a bus and it was moving around in very limited circumstances. I'm surprised the guys didn't die from heat stroke trying to film it back there in the middle of the bus. We returned to Andalusia a little bit later than expected from a visit with the fine people at Opp. By the way, if you're in Opp, you need to go by that railroad depot. That is one fine piece of restoration work they've done now. I mean, that place is beautiful. Not just the lobby, but the quarters in the back where they've got it set up for large meetings and that kind of stuff. It's lovely, and they've done a wonderful job, and they had a great crowd there. It was good to see Chief McDonald and some other folks that are friends of ours over there. Anyway, we got back to Andalusia a little later than we expected, but we still had time to drive to Gant to catch most of Martha Roby's press conference. The press conference was held at the Buckboard Restaurant on Gant Lake. Really nice place. You ought to go there. The crowd was the largest we've seen this year, and it was full of representatives from the press as well as Roby supporters from around the district. And I want to tell you, the press were not easy on Martha. They were actually quoting from her opponents live, would say a thing and they'd give it to her. It's a very interesting interview. We'll present it again later, the part that we were able to record for your viewing and informational pleasure. The food, and it was shrimp and catfish, was excellent. And I want to thank Gary Smith and the team at Power South, along with Chrissy Duffy and Maggie Jones, for doing a superb job coordinating these things. I want to say a special hello to our waitress, Janae, who was just a sweet. Janae or Renee? Renee, I thought it was Janae. She was just as sweet as she could be. And as a note of local interest, Martha Roby's communications director, Emily Taylor Johnson, has a local connection. She's the granddaughter of the late Riley Taylor and his wife, Edie. I didn't see any of the old TPS crowd around, or even her uncle Riley Taylor Jr. At the rally, but it's nice to know we have a connection from Andalusia, like Emily, in Washington. Now, we'll render the part of Roby's interview, as I said earlier, that we were able to tape, and we'll play it later on WKNI. I'll say this, folks, this race is going to be interesting. It's going to be one to watch. Now, on the Democratic side of things, Judge Sue Bell Cobb, Democratic candidate for governor, and Tabitha Eisner, Democratic challenger for the U.S. House spot number 2, are both planning meetings again in Andalusia this weekend on June 3rd. Tabitha Eisner will even be doing some canvassing door to door for votes while in Andalusia. Well, that's the first part of the political news. We've got more to come in another segment. See you in a minute. Welcome back to Good News Covington County. This segment of your local information is brought to you by Andalusia Tire Company, located at 850 Western Bypass in Andalusia, Alabama. If it's round and it rolls on the road, they've probably got what you need in the way of tires. If you've got a flat tire on anything from your wheelchair to your bicycle, from a lawnmower to a Terragator, spreading fertilizer out in the field or mowing in your yard, your best choice to get your stuff rolling in a hurry is Andalusia Tire Company. Call Jimbo, Todd, or Greg Caton at 334-222-3136 for your tire, brake, and chassis needs. Andalusia Tire can get you rubber from just about anybody that you would need tires from. Lawnmower tire repairs especially right now, and they'll do the work for the first time. Now, you're going to find it interesting when you see our interview with Scott Dawson that this next story is quite pertinent. There was an article in the Andalusia Star News by Christopher Smith, our friend, really a nice guy. The headline reads, Ivy authorizes Century program to arm school administrators. Governor Kay Ivey on Wednesday announced a program that would authorize certain school administrators to have and undergo training to have firearms on school campuses. Local educators said it was too early to react to her announcement without more information, but the Alabama Association of School Boards issued a statement on Wednesday afternoon indicating its members prefer the continued use of school resource officers to anything else. Ivy said the Alabama Century program, which will begin immediately, is a volunteer program which will permit administrators in schools without school resource officers to maintain a firearm on campus in a secured place in order to be prepared to respond to an active shooter situation. Currently, each campus in Covington County has a resource officer. That's according to Superintendent Shannon Driver of the county school system. Florella High School shares a school resource officer with W.S. Harlan Elementary School, and Fleeter Junior High School has a part-time school resource officer. There's also a school resource officer for Strawn, Red Level, and Pleasant Home, all of whom are funded by the County Board of Education, but who work for Sheriff Dennis Meeks. Andalusia City Schools has one resource officer. The article had comments from local city and county superintendents, but the general consensus was that they want to let us, meaning the boards, to consider what this bill says and what it means, and sit with their boards and develop a position unique to each one of their systems. The Century program will require that the administrator successfully complete training created and certified by the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. The ALEA and the ALSDE will also establish guidelines for training requirements, stress tests, mental health evaluations, and drug screenings. School centuries will be required to keep their firearms in a secured weapons storage system, and their employing Board of Education shall be responsible for acquiring and maintaining a weapons storage system on campus. An approved weapon, ammunition, and specially designed bulletproof vest will also be included in that. According to Ivy's announcement, a school century's duties will be written to include the use of lethal force to defend the students, faculty, staff, and visitors of his or her school from the threat of any imminent bodily harm or death by an armed intruder. Now, I'm quoting again, the Alabama Century Plan is a reasonable and measured approach to provide an additional tool for schools without a resource officer, Ivy said. With the unfortunate continued occurrence of school violence across our country, we cannot afford to wait until the next legislative system. Now, I'd like to make a comment here too, is that everybody asks, well, golly, when you were my age, people my age, you know, really old, when we went to school, a lot of us carried a shotgun or a rifle with us. Now you cannot have a firearm on campus or you risk funding for your entire school. That's a federal enactment. I don't know how all that's interwoven or anything like that, but unless you're a school resource officer, you're not supposed to have a weapon on that campus at all. And that's led to making them a soft